The woman didn't flinch when rifles turned toward her. She just asked if the line was secure. It was the kind of question no one expected to hear from a civilian, especially one wearing dust-streaked jeans and a loose sand-colored jacket. The late sun bled gold across the desert, bending the horizon in waves of heat. Checkpoint Echo 9 was a forgotten corner of the borderlands, a strip of gravel, wire, and silence. The kind of post where nothing happened for weeks, until something did. Sergeant Cole Briggs leaned out from behind a rusting Humvee, squinting through the shimmer. He saw her coming slow, steady, not lost, not afraid. Visual on civilian inbound, bearing 029, he said into the mic. Static answered. The hum of generators filled the pause. The woman walked with a calm that didn't belong in this heat. A single strap crossed her chest from the old backpack she carried. Her sunglasses mirrored the men watching her. No ID tag, no weapon, no insignia. Just the faint impression of control. Briggs raised his hand. The rifles followed his lead, clicking to ready. "Ma'am, stop where you are," he called. "You're entering a restricted perimeter. Identify yourself." She did stop, about 20 meters out, standing in the fading light like she'd known exactly where the line was. "Tell your commander this is Atlas," she said. "Confirm command phrase Bravo 12. The words hung there, too precise, too military. Briggs frowned. "Say again." "Bravo 12, she repeated, voice level, eyes unreadable, "and tell him it's urgent." Briggs hesitated, then spoke into his headset. "Alpha 6 to base. I've got a female on approach using coded language. Claims designation Atlas. You copy?" No answer, just wind and static. The men shifted, uncomfortable. This wasn't a joke. Nobody joked with command codes. A tall figure appeared from the operations tent. Commander Rafe Danner, sleeves rolled to his elbows, a streak of dust across his graying buzz cut. His presence alone made the others lower their weapons a fraction. Danner had seen everything, or at least thought he had. "What's this?" he asked, approaching Briggs. "She came in quiet, knows our comm phrases, says she's Atlas." Danner studied the woman. Her posture, her focus, the way her eyes tracked the antennas behind them instead of the men. "You military?" he asked. "No," she replied, "but I need access through this checkpoint." "That's not how this works." "It's how it's going to work," she said softly. "If you check your shortwave feed, you'll find an encrypted burst from Central Command. You'll want to read it." Something in her tone, the certainty, made him pause. He gave Briggs a look, then turned toward the comms desk inside the tent. The woman didn't move. Inside, the air was heavy with heat and static. Danner grabbed the receiver. "Echo 9 to command, requesting verification on incoming civilian designation Atlas." Nothing. Then a voice cut in, distant, modulated by distortion. "This is forward command. Stand by for authentication." "Authentication ready," Danner said, trying to mask the doubt in his voice. A pause, then the voice returned. "Atlas has operational clearance. Let her through." Danner froze. The line went dead. Briggs looked at him through the open flap, eyebrows raised. "What'd they say?" He exhaled slowly. "They said, let her through." The squad exchanged confused glances. Orders were orders, but this one felt wrong. Danner stepped back into the light. "Lower your weapons. She's cleared." The woman started walking again, her boots silent in the dust. She passed between the men like a shadow moving through tension. Up close, she looked younger than expected, but carried the quiet of someone who had seen more than she'd say. Her backpack was scuffed but organized, a small patch stitched near the zipper, a white compass, faded, almost invisible. "Who authorized you?" Danner asked as she passed him. "You already know," she said. "Central Command doesn't hand out field clearance to tourists." She gave the faintest hint of a smile. "I'm not here to sightsee, Commander." He followed her glance toward the horizon. The desert stretched unbroken, but she seemed to be reading something out there, coordinates only she could see. What exactly is your business beyond this point? She adjusted the strap on her pack. Recovering something that was never supposed to be lost. Her tone was so even, so practiced, it unnerved him more than a shout would have. Briggs shifted uneasily behind them. "Commander, this doesn't feel right." "I know," Danner muttered. Then louder, "You got a call sign?" "Atlas. That's not a name I recognize. It's not supposed to be." Danner studied her, then pointed toward the east checkpoint gate. "Echo 9's clearance ends there. Past that, you're in hostile terrain." "I'm aware." "You have transport?" She nodded toward a beat-up off-road vehicle parked half a mile back, half covered by sand. "I'll manage." Something about her composure irritated him, the quiet confidence of someone who didn't need permission but knew how to get it. He sighed. "Fine, you're clear to proceed, Atlas, but you'll check in every hour on Alpha 6. She gave a short nod. "Copy, Alpha 6. I'll transmit when I can." As she stepped through the gate, the last light of the sun caught her sunglasses. Danner noticed her lips moving, barely audible words. Numbers. He caught only fragments. 4172. Delta line. "Commander," Briggs said quietly, "those sound like coordinates." Danner didn't answer. He was still watching her walk into the fading light, a silhouette shrinking against the dunes. The tension in the air didn't fade with her. It deepened, like something had just been set in motion none of them understood. He turned toward the comms unit again, trying to raise command. Static answered. "Alpha 6 to Central. Verify Atlas authorization. Repeat, confirm operational clearance." Nothing. Then, faintly, a single phrase broke through the interference. "Atlas acknowledged. Maintain silence." Danner lowered the receiver slowly. Silence pressed in around him. Briggs broke it first. "Sir, what do we do now?" Danner's gaze lingered on the empty horizon. "We wait. And we listen." The wind picked up, sweeping grit across the checkpoint. By nightfall, her tracks would be gone. But the unease she left behind wouldn't fade so easily. Somewhere beyond the dunes, a coded transmission was already being sent, and by dawn, the storm that followed her name would arrive. By the time the sandstorm hit, she had already taken command, without saying a word. The canvas walls of the operations tent heaved in the wind, each gust carrying the hiss of grit against fabric. Inside, the air was thick with heat, static, and the faint ozone scent of overworked electronics. Ilara sat cross-legged beside the comms relay, sleeves rolled up, her fingers tracing cables like veins on a map. No one had told her she could touch the gear. No one had dared to stop her. Commander Danner stood near the folding table that served as command central. His uniform was streaked with sand, his jaw tight. "You're not cleared for that equipment," he said, though even he could hear the hesitation in his own voice. Ilara didn't look up. "Your uplink is losing packets. I can fix it." Her tone was quiet, certain. "Who told you to—" "Grid Delta 4172, she interrupted, tapping a line of data blinking red on the monitor. "That's where your signal dies. 14 kilometers east. Something's blocking comms there." Danner moved closer, watching as she rerouted a thin wire and keyed in a sequence faster than most trained techs. The radio static steadied into a low hum. "You're guessing," he muttered. "I don't guess," she said. "I listen." Lieutenant Noor, the drone operator, glanced from his screen. "Commander, I've got Hawkeye Recon on standby. If she's right, we can scan Delta 4172. Danner hesitated, weighing protocol against instinct. "Run it," he said finally. The hum of the generator deepened as Noor powered up the feed. The tent lights flickered. On the screen, pale dunes stretched endlessly, waves of tan and shadow. Then, wreckage, scorched metal, half buried in sand. "Jesus," Noor whispered. "That's one of ours." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Zoom on the southern ridge." Noor obeyed. Amid the wreckage, faint movement, a flash of mirror light. "Someone's alive," Danner said, his voice tightening. A voice crackled over the comms. "Command, this is Hawkeye. Visual on survivors. Possible signal attempt." Ilara leaned closer. "Enhance frame 8-2. Look at the hand pattern. 3 short flashes, 2 long, 1 short again." Noor frowned. "You know that code?" She nodded once. "It's not distress. It's identification." Danner turned to her. "Identification of what?" She held his gaze. "Operative ID sequence. Mine." The tent went silent except for the wind clawing at the walls. Noor looked between them. "That can't be right. You're not in our system." "I'm not supposed to be." She reached for the transmitter. "Crosslink to Kilo 3 encrypted. Packet loss 4%. Keep it narrowband." Noor blinked. "That's a restricted frequency." "Not anymore." Her fingers flew across the keypad. Lines of code scrolled faster than anyone could read. "If they're alive, they'll answer only on Kilo 3. Danner's voice hardened. "You're hijacking my comms. I'm giving you back your people." For a long moment, neither moved. Then, through the static, a broken signal pulsed. A man's voice, barely audible. "Atlas, this is Recon 6. Coordinates hold. Repeat, coordinates hold." Danner's head snapped toward her. "Atlas!" Ilara's expression didn't change. "That's my call sign." Outside, the sandstorm howled louder, the tent shuddering like it might tear apart. Danner felt the weight of command tilt under him. "Explain," he demanded. "You don't have the clearance." "Try me." She met his stare, unflinching. "Your recon team wasn't just scouting routes. They were tracking something. A convoy of encrypted assets moving through the borderlands. When their signal went dark, Command classified it under Black Recon Protocol. That's where I come in." "Black Recon doesn't exist," Danner said, but his voice was thin, defensive. Ilara looked back at the monitor, her tone almost kind. "Neither do I." For a moment, the storm outside swallowed every sound. Then Noor's drone feed glitched, momentary distortion. A new window appeared on screen, an intercepted transmission. Danner read the metadata and froze. Authorization stamp, Omega level clearance. Origin, Central Command, unknown branch. He exhaled, slow. "So you weren't lying." "I never said I wasn't lying," she replied softly. "I said I was cleared." He paced once, hands clenched. "If I help you, I'm finished." "If you don't," she said, "your men die out there." Noor broke the silence. "Commander, storm's closing fast. We'll lose the feed in 5 minutes." Danner turned to the screen again, those faint signals still blinking through the dust. He thought of the soldiers out there, waiting, not knowing. Finally, he said, "Lieutenant, maintain Kilo 3 uplink. Route all transmissions through her relay." Noor hesitated. "Sir?" "Do it." Ilara gave a single nod and resumed typing. "They'll move north of the wreckage," she murmured. "They know extraction is possible now." Danner studied her as she worked, focused, calm, not a trace of hesitation. Not a tourist, not even a soldier by their measure. Something else entirely. The storm outside reached its peak, drowning the world in red dust. Inside the tent, only the glow of the monitors remained, faces lit in blue and amber, the hum of a hidden operation unfolding in silence. Then, from the radio, "This is Recon 6. Atlas, confirmed. Holding for extraction." Ilara exhaled, the corners of her mouth lifted, almost imperceptibly. "They're alive," she said. Danner swallowed hard. "Then we move." She disconnected the uplink, wrapping the cable like ritual. "Not yet," she said. "They'll expect movement. We wait until signal confirmation from the secondary beacon." Danner's patience cracked. "You're giving orders in my tent now?" She met his eyes. "You gave them when you said, 'Do it.'" The words hung between them, as heavy as the air before thunder. Danner turned away, gripping the edge of the table until his knuckles whitened. Outside, lightning flared through the sand. He didn't see her glance toward the far end of the tent, toward a small hidden transmitter tucked beneath the comms console. Its red light pulsed faintly, steady, alive. Ilara whispered to no one. Phase 2 acknowledged. Danner faced her again. "What did you just say?" "Nothing you'll need to write in your report," she answered. The storm began to ease, but the tension didn't. The tent felt smaller now, every shadow sharper. Noor's drone feed flickered one last time, showing the downed team's beacon flashing weakly through the haze. Danner realized then that whatever mission she was running, it had begun long before she arrived at Echo 9. And before dawn, it would reach its reckoning. They thought the storm had cleared, but what followed was the kind of silence only orders can break. The horizon was a dull red smear, morning light struggling through the remnants of grit still hanging in the air. The base at Echo 9 looked half-buried, tents sagging under sand, comms lines frayed. Inside the operations tent, screens flickered weakly and the shortwave radio coughed only static. Commander Danner stood over the main console, headset pressed to his ear. "Alpha Command, this is Echo 9. Do you copy?" Silence. He tried again. "Channel 6, priority transmission, urgent." Still nothing. The comms relay was dead, cut off from every frequency except internal. Ilara stepped in behind him. Her eyes moved over the equipment, sharp and assessing. "Central's gone dark," she said almost to herself. Danner turned. "I didn't ask for your analysis." "You didn't have to," she replied, slipping past him toward the backup transmitter. "You've got no link, no orders, and a recon team still waiting 14 clicks east. We're done waiting for permission." Sergeant Briggs, helmet under one arm, frowned. "Commander, she's right. If those guys are still breathing, the clock's running out." Danner's gaze flicked between them. Ilara's hands were already moving, pulling a small beacon from her pack. She set it on the table, its soft pulse steady as a heartbeat. "We can still ping their last transmission. Signals weak, but traceable." "Using what frequency?" Danner asked. "Kilo 3, she said. "Encrypted uplink." Danner exhaled slowly. "That's black level." She met his eyes. "So's what's out there." 10 minutes later, they rolled out. 3 Humvees crawling across the open desert, visibility down to 50 meters. The sandstorm had thinned, but left behind a ghostly haze that distorted distance and shape. Danner rode in the lead vehicle beside Ilara, her pack wedged between her boots, her eyes fixed on the tablet balanced on her knee. "Talon to Mason," Briggs's voice crackled over comms. "Reading movement at bearing 182, distance 2 kilometers." Ilara adjusted the uplink antenna on the dashboard. "Mark that. Could be heat ghosts, could be ambush positions." "Could be both," Danner muttered. The road dissolved into uneven ridges. They dismounted at a low ridge, scanning the dunes ahead. The landscape was silent, too still. Danner raised his hand. "Set perimeter." Briggs motioned to his team. "Positions. 200 spread, low profile." Ilara knelt, opening her pack. Inside wasn't the worn civilian clutter they expected, but weapon modules nested in foam casing, a compact SMG, smoke grenades, a narrow transmitter unit with its own power cell. Briggs stared. "That's not standard issue." "Neither am I," she said, locking the transmitter to her wrist console. A sudden pop echoed, a single rifle shot from the ridge ahead. Sand burst at Danner's feet. "Contact!" Briggs yelled. The soldiers dropped, returning fire in bursts. The desert lit with muzzle flashes, invisible figures flanking from high ground. Ilara stayed crouched, tapping commands into the beacon. "I need 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a lifetime here," Danner shouted. "Then live through it," she said. Smoke grenades hissed, spilling gray plumes across the dunes. Visibility collapsed to nothing. Through the cover, Alara pressed the beacon to the ground. "Atlas marking beacon now," she said calmly. A tone pulsed once, then again. Over the comms, a faint voice cut through. "This is Recon 6, holding South Ridge. 2 down, 2 alive. Signal confirmed." Danner's eyes widened. "They're alive." Briggs adjusted his aim. "I can't see a damn thing through this smoke." "Don't need to," Alara said. "They'll follow the beacon." Gunfire rattled closer, sharper, then began to fade as the smoke thickened. Through the haze, shadows emerged. 2 figures stumbling forward, uniforms torn, faces half covered by scarves. Danner moved first, pulling one down behind cover. Briggs grabbed the second. Both were shaking, barely standing. "Commander," one rasped, voice raw. "They came out of nowhere. We thought—" "I know," Danner said. "You're safe now." Alara was already dismantling the transmitter, her movements efficient, calm. She turned toward the ridge where the attackers had been, scanning for movement. Nothing. The wind carried the last threads of smoke eastward. Danner looked at her. "That pack of yours, what else is in there?" She zipped it closed. "Enough to finish what they started." "Who are you really working for?" he asked. She met his gaze. "For the ones you'll never meet." For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the faint clicking of cooling rifle barrels. Then Briggs called out, "Commander, evac inbound. We've got 2 birds coming from the west." Helicopter blades soon broke the quiet, rotor wash stirring up another small storm of sand. As the medics pulled the survivors aboard, Danner turned back toward Alara. But she was gone. Her footprints led away from the vehicles into the pale horizon. He stood there, helmet under his arm, the morning light catching the edge of his exhausted eyes. "Atlas," he whispered, almost a question. Behind him, the radio sputtered to life. A voice, clear, distant, impossible to trace. "Atlas, mission complete." Then silence. By the time the sun fully rose over Echo 9, her signal was gone. But somewhere across the desert, in the thin space between orders and ghosts, a new frequency waited to be found.